Hello everyone and welcome back to NASCAR Heat 2. In this video, we're going to go over advanced setups and how to get the most out of your car. As we load into a race session, this is the screen we are presented with. We can hit the right bumper to change between the different setups. We have Setup Default, Setup Custom Race, or Setup Custom Qualify. To change these setups, we'll hit X to open up the garage. In here, we have shock settings, weight settings, spring settings, tire settings, miscellaneous settings, and finally gear settings. Let's start with the shock settings. In the front we have left bump, left rebound, right bump, right rebound. In the rear of the car we have left bump, left rebound, right bump, and right rebound. Bump will make a car loose or tight going into a corner, whereas rebound will make a car loose or tight exiting the corner. In the front, a higher bump on the left will make the car looser on that side. By lowering the bump, we will make it tighter. A higher rebound tightens the car, and a lower setting will loosen it up. Lowering the bump in the rear is a softer setting. This makes our car tighter when you get back into the throttle. A lower rebound setting is softer and tightens the car under braking. A higher setting will result in quicker reactions to the car getting tight on throttle or under braking. On to the weight settings. We have left weight, front weight, wedge, front ride height, and rear ride height. By default, we are all the way to the right. We're at 54.2%. If we turn this down, I'll explain it a little bit more. Adding more left weight will loosen the chassis. Less is going to tighten it. With front weight, this helps the car turn better, but you get a mid-corner push. This also will tighten the car under braking. With wedge, less wedge is going to loosen the car. Adding will tighten the car. 50% is a good neutral spot for road courses. With front ride height and rear ride height, we're both set at the lowest setting possible, 4.000. We're going to turn it up to explain this a little bit more. A lower setting is going to shift the weight to the front of the car, and this improves tire grip, but it's also going to make you loose. A higher setting is going to shift the weight to the rear, and it improves rear grip. This makes the car tighter. With rear ride height, a lower setting is going to shift the weight to the rear, improving the front tire grip and tightening the car. A higher setting is going to shift the weight to the front. This improves front tire grip, but also loosens it up. On to the spring settings. We have in the front a left spring, a right spring. In the rear we have the same, a left spring and a right spring. The way this works is that a softer front end is going to loosen the car. A softer setting in the rear will tighten it up. Lowering the left spring is going to make the car looser. A higher setting will tighten the car up. Let's move on to the tire settings. In the front we have left front pressure, right front pressure. In the rear we have left rear pressure and right rear pressure. By lowering the PSI, we're going to get higher temperatures in those tires, but we're going to get more grip as a result. If we bring up the PSI, we're going to get more top speed, but we'll have less grip and less temperature. With the left front, if we raise the pressure, we're going to tighten the car into and off the corner. A lower pressure will make the car looser off the corner. With the right front, raising the pressure is going to make the car loose off the corner. A lower pressure will result in a tighter car. With the left rear, we can make the car loose off, but tighten the middle off the corner by raising the pressure. A lower pressure is going to loosen the car at the start, but it will transition to tight on a long run. With the right rear, raising this is going to make the car tight into the corner, but looser off. Lowering this setting makes the car looser on short runs. As you can see, it's all about balance and what feels right to the driver. On to miscellaneous settings, we have left front camber, right front camber, front sway bar, rear sway bar, left track bar, right track bar, brake bias, grill tape, wheel lock, and steering offset. With camber, these settings are designed to make the car turn left. Too much camber results in less grip and quicker tire wear. With road courses, a camber with a negative equal setting is going to be needed. By stiffening or increasing the diameter of the front sway bar, this tightens the car. Lowering it is going to loosen it. With the rear sway bar, too stiff is actually going to lift the wheel off the track. You do not want that to happen. With the left track bar, raising this is going to make it loose but tight under braking. On the right-hand side, lowering this is going to make it tight but looser under braking. With brake bias, more to the front is going to tighten the car under braking. By moving the brake bias to the rear, this loosens the car under braking. With grill tape, more tape equals more downforce, plain and simple. But too much will overheat and damage your engine, so be careful with this setting. Wheel lock is basically the sensitivity in the wheel. If your car's too loose, you can drop the wheel lock to tighten it up. To explain steering offset, this is basically when you're driving down a straightaway. You know how the car wants to turn left on you constantly and you have to fight it to the right. By changing these settings, you can center the wheel up and you don't have to fight it so much. And finally, we have gear settings. The way gear ratios work is this. Lowering the ratio will give us less RPM but more top speed. A higher ratio is going to give us more RPM and more acceleration. For example, at a super speedway, a higher setting in 4th gear is used. Remember that a lower ratio number is less RPM. For me, whenever I first jump into a session, I always go to the weight settings. I go down to my wedge. I'll make it about 48%, right about there. That looks good. I'll go in my spring setting. I usually bump that right spring up to about 500 pounds. And then I go over to the miscellaneous settings, bump up your grill tape a couple, raise that right track bar by 1, bump up that PSI if you're qualifying, and that should result in a good spot on a qualifying run. Well, this concludes the advanced setup tutorial. I hope you found this information useful and you understand why your car behaves the way it does. My name is Jeff Aviano, and good luck out there on the track.